Babe, I'm sorry I didn't stop, but I didn't mean to disrespect you, but he kept coming at me.
Clearly, you're not ready to apologize then if you're making an excuse.
He didn't just get dumped on national TV, he got deleted from his own storyline. One minute, Big Ed was the loudest voice in the 90-Day Fiancé franchise, and the next, even TLC seemed to quietly hit mute. Welcome to TLC Drama Live, and if you love a little truth with your tea, make sure to subscribe right now and drop your thoughts below, because this one's going to sting. Big Ed's fall wasn't a single scandal. It was a slow-motion implosion built on every red flag he thought would never catch up to him. From that infamous "you need to take an STD test" conversation with Rose to the chaos that followed with Liz, every step felt like déjà vu. Audiences laughed at first, then cringed, then started to ask, wait, why is this still happening? His charm curdled into manipulation on camera. His jokes turned into jabs. And somewhere between the therapy meltdowns and the engagement breakups, his TV persona stopped being funny and started looking mean. What makes this story so wild is how long it took the world to catch on. While memes kept him trending, his real-life credibility started cracking. Fans once bought the awkward but lovable act, until receipts surfaced showing something darker: public humiliation, emotional control, and a habit of turning every breakup into a new PR stunt. TLC seemed torn between ratings and responsibility, and for years they chose ratings. But when even loyal viewers began calling for his removal, the network couldn't ignore it anymore. The same audience that made him a meme machine was now running petitions to shut him down. And behind all that chaos, Liz, Rose, and others were left picking up the emotional debris of a man whose fame depended on keeping them small. The question is, what finally pushed him past the point of no return when even TLC said, enough? Because the moment that line was crossed, everything started to collapse faster than anyone expected. It started with Rose, a 23-year-old single mom from the Philippines who thought she was meeting a shy American guy with a big heart. What she got instead was a man obsessed with control, deodorant, and image. Their story began sweetly, with video calls and gifts. But the second Big Ed landed in Manila, the cracks showed. Cameras caught everything. The first red flag? That moment in the hotel when he handed her mouthwash and said she had bad breath. The internet exploded. Some viewers laughed, others gasped, but almost everyone felt the power imbalance. Rose smiled politely, embarrassed, while Ed looked smug like he was doing her a favor. It wasn't cute, it was condescending. That single scene turned him from quirky to cruel in the eyes of millions. Then came the STD test demand. Ed insisted Rose take one before he'd be intimate, while he refused to do the same himself. When she asked why, his answers twisted into excuses. That was the moment fans realized this wasn't about safety, it was about control. The man who claimed to want love was trying to dictate every move of a woman half his age, on camera, in front of the world. The trip got worse. He lied about his height. He criticized her home. He insulted her past relationships and treated her family like they were part of an audition. Every episode added a new red flag, and Rose's patience became the real story. By the time she confronted him, cool, calm, and done, the internet had already picked sides. The hashtags were brutal. Team Rose flooded social media. Ed became a walking meme for everything wrong with modern dating, and he didn't even realize it yet. But here's the thing. What looked like a breakup story was actually the start of a cycle. The public didn't just see one bad boyfriend moment. They saw the template. Gaslighting, guilt-tripping, grand gestures followed by public humiliation. The same behaviors would appear again, with Liz, just on a bigger stage. Rose wasn't an isolated event. She was the preview of what was coming. As the reunion episode aired, Ed sat on that couch trying to play the victim. He said he was misunderstood. He said he didn't mean to hurt her. But fans had already seen enough. The clip spoke louder than his apologies. Rose walked away with her dignity intact. Ed walked away trending for all the wrong reasons. So if the world already saw the red flags with Rose, why did no one stop him before it got worse? Was it ignorance? Or was the fame machine already too hooked on the drama to care? When Liz entered the picture, viewers hoped Big Ed had learned something from Rose. But it took less than one episode for that illusion to collapse. At first, he played the changed man role, sensitive, remorseful, swearing therapy had fixed him. Liz was patient, kind, and cautious. She gave him grace when no one else did. And for a few weeks, it almost looked like redemption. Almost. Then the pattern started again, one small crack at a time. He questioned her friendships. He tracked her calls. He accused her of talking to other men. Each argument ended the same way. Ed crying, apologizing, begging her to stay, promising to do better. But the next day, it all reset. Control followed by guilt, affection followed by shame. Fans started calling it the Ed cycle. One of the most uncomfortable scenes came during therapy. Cameras rolled as Ed told their counselor that Liz was the problem, that she didn't appreciate him, that she triggered him. Liz sat there, silent until she couldn't anymore. She said she felt like she was walking on eggshells. Ed smirked, nodded, and said he just wanted peace. It was the kind of moment you could feel through the screen, someone trying to reason while the other person rewrote the story in real time. That's what emotional control looks like. Not screaming, not chaos. Just quiet rewriting until the other person starts doubting their own version of events. Psychologists have a word for that pattern, but we don't need labels to recognize it. It's when someone uses confusion as power. They change the goalposts so the other person always feels at fault. It's the kind of behavior that leaves emotional bruises no one can see. And Liz wore those invisible bruises every time she tried to defend herself. The public saw the cracks. Fans on social media called out his tone, his sarcasm, his habit of turning every argument into a performance. But strangely, there were still defenders. Some said, he's just awkward. Others said, at least he's trying. A few even blamed Liz, claiming she knew what she was signing up for. It was a classic trap, confusing vulnerability with accountability. Ed's tears looked real, but they never changed the outcome. That illusion of sincerity kept him safe for a long time. He'd cry, fans would forgive him, and the network would keep filming. But the receipts were stacking up. Voice messages leaked of him cursing her out. Photos surfaced showing her crying after another breakup. They split, got engaged, split again, then announced a wedding that never happened. It was chaos disguised as love. Every public apology came with a new round of exposure. He'd say, I love her, but also humiliate her on live TV. He'd beg for privacy, then go live on Instagram. Each cycle drained Liz a little more and chipped away at what little goodwill he had left. The internet that once found him funny now called him manipulative. Reddit threads filled with timestamps, receipts, and empathy for Liz. The same memes that made him famous were now the proof of his undoing. The emotional cost to Liz was obvious, even when she tried to hide it. You could see it in her interviews, the tight smiles, the careful phrasing. People who've lived through emotional control start censoring themselves. They pick their words like they're stepping through glass. And the saddest part? She kept giving him chances, maybe hoping he'd change once the cameras stopped rolling. But the cameras never stopped. TLC leaned in. Fans dissected every argument. And Ed, instead of stepping back, seemed to double down. He started using their relationship drama as content. Therapy became a plot twist. Breakups became clickbait. The man who once claimed to want love was now monetizing chaos, one episode at a time. So when even Liz's patience ran out, what did the audience do next? Because when reality TV fans decide to turn on you, it doesn't end quietly. It goes public. And this time, they weren't waiting for TLC to step in. It started small, with a few frustrated Reddit posts and TikToks calling him out. Then it snowballed into something bigger, something even Big Ed couldn't joke his way out of. Fans weren't laughing anymore. They were organizing. A Change.org petition titled Remove Big Ed from TLC spread like wildfire, gathering over 26,000 signatures in a matter of days. Comments read like a collective shout, "We're done watching women get humiliated for ratings." What began as gossip had turned into a movement. Memes turned into receipts. Viewers compiled timelines showing every manipulation, every cruel joke, every fake apology. YouTube commentary channels started syncing clips across seasons to expose how his behavior never really changed. Journalists picked it up, calling it the first real fan-led accountability campaign in 90-day Fiancé history. TLC had faced backlash before, but never like this, never with hard data and unified outrage. Then came the workplace allegations. A former colleague claimed Ed made inappropriate remarks during filming. Others mentioned uncomfortable encounters behind the scenes. While none of it was confirmed in court, the optics were devastating. For years, he'd walked a thin line between being an entertainer and a liability. Now that line was gone. Sponsors quietly backed away. TLC cut back his screen time. And for the first time since his debut, Big Ed wasn't the punchline. He was the warning. The shift was clear. Online audiences stopped rewarding shock value and started demanding ethics. people who used to tag him in jokes were now tagging TLC, urging them to take action. The show's subreddit pinned threads tracking every update. Fans who once adored his chaos were now auditing his behavior. The collective tone moved from mockery to mission. Ed tried to fight back. He went live, tearful again, blaming haters and cancel culture. But this time, no one bought it. Every excuse was matched with video proof. Every denial met with screenshots. For a man who'd built his fame on being unfiltered, transparency suddenly worked against him. And then, he made the worst move possible. Desperate to shift the narrative, he staged a stunt. A 24-hour engagement comeback with Liz, complete with matching outfits and camera crews. It was supposed to show reconciliation. Instead, it exposed everything. The smiles looked forced. The timing looked fake. Even casual viewers could tell it was performance over truth. That one stunt didn't just fail, it shattered what little credibility he had left. Because right after that, something happened that even TLC couldn't edit out. The 24-hour engagement was supposed to be his big redemption arc. Instead, it became the punchline that finished his career. It began at a meet and greet in Arkansas, where Ed and Liz appeared hand in hand, smiling for photos like nothing had happened. Fans posted clips on TikTok showing a ring flashing on her finger. Within hours, gossip pages lit up. They're back together! But something felt off. The body language, the stiff smiles, the way Liz kept looking at the floor. It didn't read as love. It read as damage control. The next day, Ed dropped the bomb, an impromptu proposal caught on video. The caption read, "When you know, you know." Comments filled up instantly. Didn't they just break up again last week? Is this a prank? The internet wasn't buying the act. Screenshots circulated of Liz's earlier posts about self-healing, only days before the reunion. The timeline didn't add up, and the audience knew it. Within 24 hours, the supposed engagement went from headline to scandal. Fans started comparing timestamps and tagging TLC, asking if this was a publicity setup. Ed doubled down, telling a podcast it was real love and not for views. But then Liz quietly deleted every photo with him again. Reddit threads tore through every detail: the ring, the location, even the reused captions from an older post. The pattern was undeniable. Viewers had seen this movie before, and they were done pretending it was romantic. For years, Ed had turned every heartbreak into screen time. But this time, the performance had no charm left. It wasn't human drama anymore. It was PR theater, and the audience felt manipulated. Commenters said it out loud. They're using trauma as marketing. The same fans who once clicked for chaos now clicked to criticize. When Liz went silent on social media, sympathy shifted completely her way. Ed's attempt at image repair had backfired so badly that even longtime defenders distanced themselves. Influencers who once joked about him now called the stunt emotional exploitation. Then came the quiet part. The network started to notice. TLC staffers, usually tight-lipped, stopped featuring him in promos. Editors cropped him out of group shots. Production insiders began leaking whispers of contract uncertainty. The engagement was meant to rebuild his brand, but instead, it forced a question everyone in the industry started asking. How much longer could TLC afford to protect Big Ed before his scandal started costing them more than his screen time? After the 24-hour engagement fiasco, Ed tried to pivot hard. First came the real estate posts, him in front of sold signs, smiling with clients. He claimed $1 million in sales his first year. Screenshots of Instagram likes told a different story. Hundreds of thousands of followers, but barely a few hundred likes per post. People were scrolling past, not buying houses, not buying hype. Memes emerged of Ed holding sold signs next to empty lots, captions reading, "biggest sale," his dignity. Then came the wine venture. He announced a vineyard in Argentina, promising Big Ed Malbec world-class wines. Fans checked the likes and comments again. 600 likes. Hundreds of replies roasted the bottles before anyone tasted them. One comment read, "tastes like desperation." Another, "do we get a paperclip cork too?" The business itself wasn't illegal, but no network or influencer touched it. Toxic celebrity names are a red flag for brands. They scare investors, sponsors, and customers. The proof was clear. Even loyal followers weren't following this story into a purchase. Ed doubled down anyway. Every failed venture was spun as misunderstood genius. Posts emphasized effort over reception, persistence over results. But the internet didn't care. Each attempt added to the narrative that he was chasing relevance at any cost. Memes multiplied, turning each product launch into another viral lesson in social accountability. public mockery wasn't just commentary, it was currency and Ed was bankrupt. And then came January 2025 hospital posts. Bronchitis supposedly sidelined him, yet there he was, documenting every second with a lollipop, Crocs, and a John Deere sweatshirt. Comments were brutal. Some viewers worried, some rolled their eyes. You're literally in the hospital. Stop. Is this performance art or illness? The fine line between sympathy and spectacle blurred. Even when genuinely sick, Ed couldn't resist the camera. The post made him look human enough to pity, but hungry enough to critique. The pattern was clear. Every personal moment became a content opportunity. His health, normally private, was weaponized for attention. With failed businesses, viral ridicule, and hospital videos that made fans question his motives, everyone was waiting for the next misstep. And they didn't have to wait long, because the next chapter would take his collapse from online mockery to full-blown network scrutiny, even from a hospital bed. Ed couldn't resist the spotlight. Bronchitis had him barely able to speak, but the camera was rolling. Lollipop in hand, sweatshirt rumpled, Crocs firmly on, he documented each cough, each wheeze, each tired blink. Fans scrolled through Instagram, torn between concern and exasperation. Some commented, "Get well soon," while others typed, "Is this a reality TV episode or actual illness?" The line between personal health and content creation had collapsed. What should have been a private struggle became public fodder, and the reaction reflected it. By April 2025, TLC decided to bring him back for a spin-off. The news hit like a thunderclap. Fans exploded online, petition numbers were cited again, old memes resurfaced, and industry insiders questioned why the network would give him another platform. For years, Ed had built his persona on chaos and manipulation, but now the stakes were higher. Viewers weren't just entertained, they were judging networks, brands, and morality itself. Critics argued that audiences shouldn't cancel entertainment entirely, that some space should exist for redemption. Defenders noted Ed's persistence and self-promotion skills. But the pattern was clear. Repeated harm, no meaningful reflection, and attention-driven stunts were costly, socially and professionally. The practical lessons here are sharper than any meme. Accountability matters. Public pressure, when combined with evidence and persistence, can influence powerful institutions. Personal boundaries matter. No amount of charm or screen time excuses repeated mistreatment of partners, colleagues, or fans. And empathy counts. While fans were right to call out toxicity, it's also fair to recognize that everyone is capable of missteps. True growth requires consistent reflection, not performative stunts. Emotionally, there's payoff. Rose and Liz preserved dignity, while audiences watched the consequences unfold. Ed's story shows that fame amplifies behavior, good or bad, and that the court of public opinion, paired with real-world consequences, eventually responds. What remains is a cautionary tale. Fame doesn't erase responsibility, and entertainment isn't a shield from accountability. Every hospital post, every spin-off announcement, every failed venture tells the story of a man addicted to attention, and the audience watching him crumble is as much a lesson as any courtroom drama. For those who followed Ed from chaos to crisis, the question remains, what happens when networks try to balance ratings with responsibility? Stay tuned, because in the next TLC Drama Live video, we're breaking down another reality star whose public missteps might shock you even more.